Welcome, Titans, to another episode of our podcast, The Titan Business Builders. And today I'm very honored that we have Heather Vickery, as our guest. And Heather, allow me to introduce yourself to our audience a little bit. I'm going to just take a look at your website, how it's stated there. So you are a success and leadership coach devoted to our success.
I
How
am.
does that sound? Yeah.
Sounds good. It sounds good. Yes, I'm a success and leadership coach. I'm a speaker, a podcaster also,
Yeah.
and a best-selling author, which is a really fun thing to say.
Yeah, absolutely. You just released your new book, Fuck Fearless,
I
about
did.
your own brave method, right?
Correct.
Uh,
Yeah.
so how did that go? Where did you start with the idea to write your own book? Because you've been in business for 8 years now with this business,
With
right?
this business, yeah. I've
Yeah.
been an entrepreneur for 23 years. I always
Wow.
joke that I figured out very quickly out of college that I worked well with people, but not for people. And
Mm,
so I decided to start my own business. And I ran a really wonderful event and wedding planning business here in Chicago for about 18 years. And then um, and then I kind of burned my whole life to the ground. I came out, I got a divorce, I transitioned from one business to another one, and the Brave method was what I did, how I moved myself and transformed from one version of my life to one that I actually want, which is pretty exciting. It didn't have a name then. It took me a long time to go, what is it? What did I do? How did I
mm.
do that? What was that? What did that look like? And by that point, Brave had really become my thing. Brave is my business. I have the Brave Files podcast, the Intentionally Brave Entrepreneurs group coaching program, the Brave on Purpose collective on Facebook. And so it made sense to find a way to use the word brave in how I was going to coach and support people to do the same things that I've done in my life.
Mm. Yeah, it's very powerful. And you talk about the fact that, yeah, being brave is also about leaning into the fear almost.
Yeah, so that's the cool thing about fear is that you literally can't be brave without fear. It's
Mm.
not possible. So that's why the book is called Fuck Fearless. Yes, it's a big name. It's a big word. It's a word I'm a really big fan of. But I've had some people whose feathers are ruffled, and that's fine. I'm not for everyone. I'm perfectly okay with that.
Yeah.
But society teaches us and tells us that in order to be really successful or to be a great leader, we are supposed to be fearless. And I just call bullshit on it. It's not true. We have fear. We maybe don't have the same fears. What I'm afraid of and what you're afraid of are likely very different. But I'll be honest, I sometimes have as many as 10 fears in 1 hour. I'm afraid of all kinds of things. I just don't let it own me, right?
Mm.
Instead, I go, what is this, Heather? What are you afraid of here? What are you feeling? What are you experiencing? What is this fear trying to tell you? What's it trying to protect you from? Right? And I leverage that knowledge into intentional bravery because what I know for sure, both from my life and from the many, many clients that I've supported, is that when we choose bravely, thoughtfully, with intention, and on purpose, we start to choose way bigger things for ourselves. We put ourselves out there in more wonderful ways, which produce bigger results and payoffs and rewards. And then my very favorite part is that it's contagious because other folks see it. Your loved ones, your family members, your friends, your coworkers, your colleagues, your clients, they see what you're doing and they go, I want some of that. I can do
Mhm.
that. If they can do it, I can do it. Let me try just a little. And I call that everyday brave. And when we start to recognize our everyday brave moments, those things that feel small, but yet they matter a lot, we really lean into our bravery and it's life shifting.
Mm. Now I can imagine that 8 years ago for you, this knowledge that you have right now wasn't there yet. But
It was not.
tell us more about that transition, and also, like, was it like already an instinct inside of you, the bravery? because you made
Mm,
that leap.
I did. So there was a very specific moment. I followed society's path for me. I knew I wanted to have kids.
Yeah.
Um, I know you have an LGBTQ audience. People are like, did you know? And I really didn't know, but I kind of didn't know because of the way society talks about and treats women.
Mm.
So, we see beautiful women and we go, oh my God, she's so hot. And I didn't know that the way that felt inside of me was different than the straight girl that was standing next to me because we
Oh,
use the same words, right? It just took me a
totally.
long time to go, wait a minute, that's different, right? That's not the same thing. But I wanted to have kids, and I thought the only way I was going to do that was I was going to get married, and I met a nice boy, he was young man, and we built the American dream. We had the biggest house in the neighborhood, and he made $500,000 a year, and I had a thriving business, and we had 4 perfect, beautiful kids. And the more time I spent in that life, the more I hated myself and the
Mm.
more fear based I got. Every decision I made was fear based. What will hurt less? What will cause less drama? What's the least scary thing? I'll do that thing. And then there was this moment, this very poignant moment for me. I remember it so clearly. Well, I was sitting at the breakfast table with my 4 daughters who were really little then. The baby was a baby. And I had nothing to give. I hated my life. I didn't like who I was. I didn't like what was happening in and around me. And I thought, what would I do for my kids? If they came to me in this same situation, what is the advice I would give them? And it wasn't, well, you made your bed, now live in it. It wasn't suck it up, deal with it. It was, baby girl, go out and own the fucking world. The world is waiting for you to show up authentically and play big. The world deserves that from you, and you deserve to take up that space. And then I went, oh shit. If I want them to do it, I have to do it. I have to show them how to do it. But there was something about that moment where I thought, well, if my why is to show my kids that they can do anything, then I can do anything. Watch me. And it just opened up the gates for me, and I was able to lean in.
Yeah. That's very powerful, I think, for a lot of people that hear your story, that they can see that it is possible. Now,
Yeah.
if because this podcast is really for people that are within business as well, and I want to put a focus on that part. I mean, I'm pretty sure you've talked a lot about all the other stuff around what you have done, of course, but how much did it impact your business,
Yeah.
and was it the was it the fear that made you create a new business, or the bravery, or where did you make the decision, okay, I have already a business, but I'm just going to transition into completely something different because I've gone through this, and this is really my true purpose and my true passion that I want to,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's a
that I
great
want to do.
question. So I really loved my business, but the wedding industry is hella hard. Um, it's very difficult to scale. It's very difficult to make good money, and it's really trading time for hours. It's really hard and physically draining, emotionally draining work. Hi, Jocelyn.
Hey,
And while I loved the community and I love the people in the industry, they really lifted me up and held me when I transitioned my business. They said, yes, this is your thing. When I went through this huge transformation personally, part of my commitment to myself was, let's look at, and it's part of what the Brave method is. I call it the 3 R's: reassess, reframe, and resilience. What what is happening? What feels good in my life? What doesn't feel good? What do I want? Who do I want to be? What do I want to leave on the world? What's the mark I want to leave on the world? And I realized that coaching really found me, because for years people had been coming to me, I want to do this, I want to try this, I want to start this. I think you can help. Will you help me? Because I do have a gift. I believe everybody has a superpower, truly. And when I do corporate workshops, we start by talking about superpower. And my superpower is hearing what someone says and reframing it in a way that's actionable for them. So people reach out to me, they seek me out when they're looking to transform something, whatever it is, personal, professional, doesn't matter. And I kind of fought it for a while because I did not like the term coach. My experience up until that point had been that coaches are slimy and skeevy, and I didn't want to be associated with that until I met the man who became my coach. And I remember that moment really clearly. I was at a conference. My life partner happened to be there with me. And this guy gets on stage and he starts talking. And I look at her and I was like, that's my guy. Like he's the one. I know he's the one. And I don't know why, but I trust my instincts. And he was. And what he helped me realize was that I could create a business that I felt passionate about, and I could
Mm,
impact the lives of people in a really magical way. So, to answer your question, it was very thoughtful. It was definitely not fear. I wasn't afraid of the wedding industry. The wedding industry was quite comfortable for me. I had a luxury business. I did
mm,
$500,000 weddings. It was fantastic. And I went to great parties and we all dressed up and it was lovely, but it didn't fill my soul.
yeah.
So I leaned in to bravery in order to build something that I wanted to stand behind, in order to build something that I knew had the ability to impact people on a really big scale and to help everyday people lean into their everyday brave to actually create a life and a business that they love passionately and that they are willing to get up and work their asses off for. Because we don't have businesses if we don't work our asses off for them. And that doesn't mean you have to hustle. I am not about the hustle mentality. It doesn't mean you have to work 24/7, but it does mean you have to be really honest with yourself and you have to get really real about what you want and why you want it and how you're going to get there. And I had to do that for myself.
Absolutely. And this is definitely something that resonates with me as well, because I always say that I only want to work with people that are passionate about their business,
Yes.
because these people are the ones that will make an impact for
Yeah.
themselves, for people around them, but also for the world. And this is what I love to do. I love to help those people. Now, I'm curious, like you started the wedding business. Wasn't that your passion?
No, it was definitely not my passion. It was my expertise. So are you familiar with
Hmm,
the book, the Big Leap by Gay Hendricks?
I've heard about it.
It's a great read. I recommend it for pretty much anybody. But Gay Hendricks talks about your zone of excellence, the thing that you're really good at. You are really
Hmm,
freaking good at this. And then your zone of genius, the thing that nobody does but you in the way that you do it, right? And wedding planning, event planning was my zone of excellence. I'd been in event planning for a long time. I started in college. I was the philanthropy chair in my sorority, which is hilarious that I was in a sorority because I'm actually not that kind of girl, but whatever. Um, and then after I graduated, I went to work for the American Cancer Society. I created their young professionals board, right? We did all sorts of fundraising events and planning. And then I went to work for the Special Olympics for the state of Illinois, and I created their fundraising events. And I knew how to plan events, and I knew how to get people motivated. And weddings, and those were just easy. It was easy for me. It was fun, and I created that business out of nowhere. I was like, I'll just do this thing. I don't know. I don't know why I have that ability to be like, I can do that. So that's when I say what feels scary to me is going to be different than you. Like that whole I can create something that doesn't exist out of nothing. That's not scary to me. It's not. I'm not fearless in it. Like I run up against roadblocks with it all the time. But I'm like, well, I'll just figure it out. I don't know how to do it, but I'll just get in and figure it out. I'll learn it on the fly. So I was incredibly good at it, but it was not my passion. And it was definitely not my zone of genius.
So adding passion to what you are good at gets you in that zone of genius, and that is what brings you into this business.
Yes, passion and a lot of deep introspective work on really what is it? Really digging in on what is your zone of genius? What do you bring to the table in a way that nobody else does? And it's tricky to do in the coaching industry, right? Because there are a lot of us. Um, but I know that what I do and the way that I do it is very different than everyone else. And like I said before, I'm not for everyone, but if I am for you, we're going to do cool shit together.
Which is great. And I want to say hi to Robert, hi to Greta, who are following here
Hello,
live.
Robert and Greta.
Now, what would you say to new kids on the blog, let's say, that want to start a business and that think about, yeah, okay, I'm good at this and I'm passionate about this, or am I passionate about this? Like,
Mm.
how would you recommend them starting this journey? Because we all want to have a business around our passion. Would you say that the brave method can really help
I
with
would say
this?
that. Yeah, I really would say that because what at the core of it, the Brave Method is a creative and strategic approach to problem solving, dreaming, designing, and building a life and a business that you love. But it requires thought and intention.
Mm,
So BRAVE is an acronym here. It stands for boundaries, the three R's: reassessment, reframing, resilience, action and accountability, vulnerability, and then expand and empower. And those first four are interchangeable. You're going to use them in a lot of different ways. You're going to learn when and how to implement each one. But the result is the expansion and empowerment. And that is inside work, folks. Nobody can expand and empower you but you. You do it when you
mm,
show up. And so, what the Brave Method can help new kids on the block, which I am old enough to actually remember the band, but that's okay. I saw them at the county fair, if that tells you anything. Um, is it gives you a place to start. And the first thing I recommend that you do really is what I call dreamscaping. Visualize your life, your business in 10 years, in 20 years.
mm,
Where do you want to be? What do you want it to feel like? Who do you want to support? And then working backwards to begin creating it. Here's the key though. Sometimes those dreams and those visions shift. And that's where those three R's really come into place. We want to check in with them on a consistent and regular basis. I actually recommend daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and annually checking in on your visions and your goals. Do I still want these things? Because it's
mm.
okay if you don't. We change. Change is the only constant. So for a new kid on the block, I'd say make a plan and plan to change
That's a good one.
it.
Plan, no, I mean, plan to change it because we're all so much about planning and like writing down what we want and how we see it and visualizing every single piece
Yeah,
of what we need to do. But indeed, things change. So being agile, right? Being
absolutely.
comfortable, comfortable with change. I can speak for myself if I say like this year, I think I've changed my business 3 times already. And now this last time was really the biggest shift for me when I decided to go all in our own community, the LGBTQ plus community. And that felt was so much connected to my purpose
Yeah. Your
and
zone
my
of
passion.
genius.
Yeah.
Yes.
And now I have something like, okay, this is it. This is really truly what actually
Yeah.
I was always destined to do.
I love
Was that in
that.
my plan? Uh, if you would say said to me 5 years ago, "This is your plan," I would say, "Oh, what are you talking about?" I mean,
Yeah.
but yeah, plan to change, right?
Yeah.
Don't expect to set it in stone, but
No,
making
you have to
making
be flexible.
yeah, making iterations or making adjustments along the way is indeed powerful. Um, you also talk about boundaries indeed a lot. Like,
Oh,
is
yeah.
that how important are boundaries within your business?
Integral. So crucial.
And those boundaries are connected to your life work balance, or is it more than that?
All of the things. Set boundaries around all of the things. It is important to set boundaries around work life balance or harmony, whatever word you want to use there, because it's so easy as an entrepreneur to think you're supposed to work all the time or to feel guilty because what,
Mhm.
you've got your phone right here, you've got your computer right here, you could work anywhere, anytime. But if you burn out, it's all, the bottom's going to fall out, right? So you definitely want to set boundaries there. But also, we set boundaries when we have really clear contracts. When we say, this is what you're going to get from me, this is what I expect from you, these are the dates and the deadlines. We set boundaries when we say, and I have my voicemail still. This is a holdover from the wedding industry because I don't often get calls, just random phone calls
Yeah.
anymore. But if you call my voicemail, it says, "This is Heather Vickery. If you've reached me after 5 p.m. or on a weekend, I'll get back to you the next business day." That's a
Mm.
boundary. Like, so it doesn't mean you can't call me. It means you shouldn't expect a response from me right away. It's telling clients I usually respond to emails within 24 business hours so they know what to expect. It's putting in and out of office. It's setting set office hours. It is I do a live show in my group, the Brave on Purpose Collective and Facebook every Wednesday at 1:30. My boundary is I'm going to show up at 1:30. I'm going to be there for anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes, and I am going to talk about some sort of brave in action moment at that time. I've set a boundary around it. I'm going to show up, right? We can set boundaries with ourselves about what we eat, how much we sleep, how we feel, how we self-care. You can set boundaries in every possible way, and they are your key to guilt-free freedom. Boundaries are amazing because it lets people know what to expect from us, what we expect from them. Game changing, absolutely game changing. If something hurts, if you feel uncomfortable or sad or painful about especially anything in business, you can set a boundary around it and it will create shift. So for example, in a sales call, you can set a boundary where you say, when should I expect a response from you? Or I'd like to follow up on Monday next week. Is that okay? Right? You've made a declaration, you've set a boundary, everybody knows what to expect. Lots of different ways to ease sort of things that are stress points by setting strong boundaries.
And creating the right kind of expectations from the people that you work with or that are involved within your business.
Absolutely.
Was this something that you had to learn, or was it always something that you had in your life and within your business?
Totally a
Yes.
learned skill.
Yeah.
Totally a learned skill. That comes from being an entrepreneur for 23 years and
Mm.
finding myself in the thick of all this shit, right? Like, oh my God, these clients
Yeah.
call all the time and they yell at me and I don't have clear expectations and what are they going to get on site? Like, no, it came from trial and error and learning that I needed to be in control of my business. I needed to be the one that made the rules and communicated them and managed them, right? Nobody's going to do that for me. If you let people walk all over you, they will. Not because they're trying to be mean, but because you've trained them to do so. And
Mm.
boundaries are you training them to be respectful and work within your priorities.
What would you say if then you get a response like, "Yeah, Heather, but I don't want to scare away my customers. I want to serve my customers in the best way that I can. So I do everything for my customers."
I hear that kind of statement a lot. And I would say to you that people who bend over backwards all the time and give in and change their mind and rearrange their schedule do not actually look stronger. They look like pushovers.
Mm.
You look like a pushover. Your clients, it will be remarkable. You will find it remarkable how people will respond to you having the confidence to set boundaries and to manage expectations. And it also doesn't mean you have to say no very often. You can say, "Yes, I can do that on this day at this time. I would be happy to help you with that. This is when I can do that." Right? It doesn't mean that you go, "I'm going to walk away from the family dinner table to send this email or to return this phone call." People want you to respect yourself. Trust me, they do.
Mm. That's a good one as well. And I think this relates also to being brave to
Yeah,
not
absolutely.
not have. I mean, you can have the fear that clients will think that you cannot serve them well enough, but it's brave to set boundaries and to show your customers exactly who you are, right?
It's super brave to do that and it inspires them and you can help them do the same.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's really important to do that. But what you're talking about is really a fear-based scarcity mindset. Oh, if I'm
Mm.
not available all the time, if I don't bend over backwards, then I'm not going to have money. People can kind of smell that desperation, if I'm being honest. It's not sexy. It's really, really not sexy to be that desperate. And instead, embrace an abundance mindset. The right clients will find me because you can't be for everyone. That's not possible. If every person you're pitching says yes, you are not charging enough money and you are probably not serving anything that's extra special because they can get it from anywhere, right?
Mm.
So, this is your opportunity to have confidence, to have an abundance mindset, and to believe that the right people will appreciate what you bring to the table and they will want to work with you on your own terms. And again, you can do that by being kind. You don't have to be a jackass. I am not suggesting you be an asshole.
Definitely not that.
But there are people who are like, yeah, sorry, I can't do that. That's not going to work for me.
Yeah.
I don't want you to do that. I want you to be kind and thoughtful, but also firm.
So those kind of boundaries, do they also affect the fact that we are part of the LGBTQ plus community? Like, how much has that an impact?
It's a huge impact for me, and I would encourage anyone in the community to make it an impact. So, for example, and everybody has a different approach on this. This one is mine. When I am hiring, one of my interview questions is, how do you feel about the LGBTQ community?
Mm.
Because I want to know that they're going to be good with me. I don't want to hire somebody and then have them have an issue, right? And I mean, it's easy to research me. It's easy to find out that I'm queer.
Of
Like, that's
course.
not hard, but not everybody does that. And the response, if I get and I've gotten this recently, I just did some hiring. One person said, I'm okay with people's lifestyle choices. And I was like, and you're out, right? Like, those things matter to me. Your lifestyle choices? Okay, we're not going to do that. I don't need to educate people. So those things are important to me. I put my values very clearly on my website. There's an entire page dedicated to it. My mission statement, my value statement, my commitment to anti-racism, my commitment to social justice work across the board. To me, those are unnegotiable boundaries. You're going to work with me. You're going to be all about human kindness. And if you're not into that, we are not going to work well together. That's just that simple.
Yeah. I think it's sad sometimes to see that people don't think too much about that aspect, how important that is to
So
us.
important.
Um, and putting stuff out there or making comments like that, even if they think it's not a big deal, it is a big deal.
It's a really
And
big deal.
I also feel like, I don't know how you think about this, but in our community, building a business is um, even more difficult sometimes than in without or outside the community, because that part plays such a role that people might be fearful to use that or to express that part in so they don't want to get like comments about that, or they think
Sure.
like, yeah, people will have some judgment about me as an entrepreneur and think that because I'm part of the LGBTQ plus community, I should not be doing that.
So I think that just, everybody's in a different part of their journey and maybe in a different part of the world where it is safer or not safer. Even here in the United States, different parts of the country where,
Mhm.
yeah, I'm in Chicago. It's easy to be out in Chicago. It would not be easy to be out, in West Virginia or different parts of the country. And we have to know what's safe. I urge you to find other LGBTQ entrepreneurs and start to build your own community there. Because we have to remember that there are no safe spaces, there are only safe people. We are the ones that make it safe for one another. And so seek out your people, work with your people.
Mm, that's indeed a good, powerful statement indeed. And that can be anybody within our community can be successful. Like, if they use your principles, if they are brave to start something like a new business, they can be successful. Now, for you, Heather, what would you say is success for a business owner?
It's a really great question. I deeply believe that success is individually identified. We have to decide for ourselves what success means for us, and then build your business in a way that's going to get you there. If it's a
Mm,
dollar amount, that's fine. Maybe it's a dollar amount. If it's how many hours you want to work per week or per month, if it's being able to take a vacation a couple times a year, whatever it is that you want. I tend to not be dollar based because I believe that money is a byproduct of service. And I show up for people hard and in a big way, and I'm all in. And I know that when I do that, the money's going to follow me. And it just always has. And so I just keep giving and supporting and serving, and then it comes up for me. But we have to decide for ourselves. So remember when I said you do that dreamscaping, that's your success level. Like
mm,
what is it that I want you to build a life that you love with a business that fits in it. Please don't try to build a business and then mush your life all the way around it. That's going to make it very difficult to achieve anything that feels like success across the
mm.
board. But it has to be self-defined. And that's something that I work with clients on all the time. What would success be like to you? And we talk about that even on a micro level. When people are starting new businesses. Okay, you want to try this new thing. At what point will you feel like you have enough knowledge or expertise to do that? Well, maybe if I serve 3 clients, then I'll feel like I can sell it to the general public. Okay, so let's reach that level of success and then let's create a new one and we build on top of it.
So small wins, celebrating those wins, and being grateful. One of the biggest things within your method as well is being grateful, gratitude for what's
Absolutely.
happening around you. Even the smallest wins that you have are success if you apply the gratitude with it.
Absolutely. Gratitude is number one scientifically proven way to increase overall happiness, joy, and well-being while decreasing stress, anxiety, and depression. And this really is something that I highly recommend. Again, it can fall into the 3R category, that reassessment. What am I grateful for? Why? Even, and maybe even almost especially in those moments of challenge and difficulty,
Mm.
because there is something in there for you if you look for it. And it's not about toxic positivity. It's not about always be happy or push your feelings aside. I want you to feel all your feelings. I want you to be super honest about all of those things, but also there is something in there for you. There was always a lesson, always an opportunity. Um, Gratitude will literally change your life. Literally.
Yeah, and I must admit also that that concept for me was not always as clear, and I always thought that people just were using this as a way to almost make it seem like not so difficult, the whole business building, having gratitude, you will be fine, you will be fine. But it's like you said, it's even scientifically proven that being
Absolutely.
grateful really changes your mindset, your inner state, your biology. It's crazy, actually.
It does.
So, yeah.
I'm actually certified in positive psychology. And one of the things that we learned is you can do an MRI on somebody before they start a gratitude practice and then come back 3 months later. If they've done a gratitude practice every day for 3 months, where they list as little as 3 things they're grateful for and why, you can look and compare the MRIs and you can see the changes, the happiness change in your brain. It's absolutely unbelievable. And I love this because I have my clients do gratitude. I'll say, I don't need you to believe me. You don't have to believe me. You just have to try it because
Yeah.
it will work. And I don't care if you believe me or not. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is indeed very powerful. And I wish I knew this many, many years ago. But like in anything, it's never too late, right?
It's never too late. And that's the cool thing about all of this. Everything in the Brave Method, everything we're
Yeah.
talking about today, it's a little bit easier to build these platforms and systems when you're starting a business
Mm.
and to start with them. It's a little bit trickier to change and shift into them, but it's 100% doable and it's 1000% worth it.
And in the end, it's like you say, um, people don't need to think about it too much, because the one rule that you have
Is that
is
there are no rules.
yeah, exactly. So whatever somebody is trying to do, it's on their path. It's what they think is best. And just adding some of these principles will help you along so much, so much.
Yeah, they
It's
really
great.
work. They truly, truly, truly work. Um, all right, Robert, can I respond to Robert's questions? Do we have time for
Yeah.
that?
Which one? First one or the
There,
last one?
there are two. So the first one, um, Robert, my friend, you can be my friend if you'd like. I'm
So
easy to
let's
find.
for people that are not watching and listening. So Robert posed this question: I have a problem with value giving to clients up front of collaborating with them. They get all the value from me up to the point where I show them my honoration, right, the price, and then they disappear, like they don't respond anymore to me. Any ideas how I can improve my sales
Yeah.
close?
So Robert, the very first tip I have for you is to stop feeling like you're doing your clients or your potential clients a favor by talking to them. I can guarantee you that the right client, so you're going to want to qualify, you're going to want to spend your time and energy with people who are the right fit for you, but the right clients are never going to hear everything you say and think, well, that's it, I now know everything Robert has to teach me and I don't need to work with him anymore. They're not going to do that, right? They're going to say, holy hell, if Robert can say this and help me in 30 minutes or an hour, imagine what they can do if we actually work together. And it's a
Mhm.
mindset shift. It's the energy that you're bringing into the conversation. 100%, right? I deeply believe I give and I give and I give. I give away coaching sessions all the time. And maybe it's a year later, sometimes it's been 3 years later, they come back and they say, I want to sign up for your $20,000 program, right? Because I build that level of trust and respect and I show up for people. But again, if we don't show up with service as our intention, it's obvious and people don't buy. They
Mhm.
don't buy. And then what is Robert's other question?
Robert's other question is, okay, I'm going to be very honest here. Robert says, I feel frustrated when I spend time and energy in giving value to my prospects and answer all their questions to my best knowledge and conscience. Yet, at best, I receive a thank you, but not any money from it. I guess this leans into the previous question and
Yeah,
what you just said.
yeah. That I can feel that frustration, and I certainly understand it. But it sounds to me like you're not qualifying folks before you have conversations with them. I don't know what you do, Robert. So I don't know if it's the kind of thing where you can list your prices and very clearly say this is what it is. Perhaps you charge a consultant fee for these first calls and say if you decide to work with me, the money goes towards a program. There are some things you could maybe shift and do there. Again, I don't know what it is that you do, so I can't specifically speak
So
to it.
Robert is part of Titanology, of one of our the Titan Hustler Academy, and he is a nutritional coach. So he has
Okay.
his program, nutrition
Okay.
program, and we're working together to make his business really go off, right?
Yeah.
And but yeah, you're right, Heather. I mean, I've gone through this same issue or same mindset before as well, where I thought like, okay, but I cannot give too much of my stuff because people will just run away with it. But the thing that I always say is there are no secrets. I mean, if you want to know something, just Google it and just go to YouTube and you will find
Yep.
everything that you want to know,
And there
right?
are no new ideas either,
No.
just new ways to present them.
Yeah. So
People
what
aren't
is,
hiring you, Robert, for your
yeah,
ideas and your knowledge. They're hiring you for your heart and your soul and what you bring to them as a human. Give them more of that and less of the answers.
yeah.
Give them more of you and why you are the person to help them and support them on their nutritional journey and get their emotional buy in. I've never made a sale ever in 23 years of entrepreneurship without first building a relationship and having honest conversations ever.
I have nothing to add here. I mean, that's it. I mean, that's the truth. Yeah, tell your story, show your authentic self, be yourself. People who will resonate with you will eventually buy from you, right?
Yeah, well, just keep
And people
showing
that,
up and give
yeah,
more, not less. Honestly, I know that sounds backwards, but it's the difference in a scarcity mindset and an abundance mindset. And there's a book that I could recommend to you. It's really geared towards women, so take that for what it's worth. But
mm,
Jen Sincero's "You're a Badass at Making Money," because your issue is you're what in the Big Leap. They're what they're calling an upper limit problem. You're blocking yourself, Robert, my friend. You are blocking yourself with coming in with this perspective. And so we need you to think about service and money a little bit differently. And we need you to not get in your own way with that. And I believe that you can. I think that you have a lot to offer. Otherwise, you wouldn't be hanging out in this incredible group of people. And it's work, and there's nothing wrong with you. And a lot of people
mm.
go through this phase of their journey, tons and tons and tons of people. Um, and so that is, you should treat every client like your son. Yes, you should. You should treat every client like your son. Every client should be very important to you. Yeah,
We got another question here. If you have some more time, Heather,
I do.
but from Abby, how do I show my honest self if I'm not the one doing the work? My business is
Ooh.
animated videos for startups trying to acquire investors. I can learn all the knowledge, but I've never done any of the work.
So, Abby, can you clarify for me? Do you then sell the animated videos, but somebody else creates them? I'm missing that. Is that
Yeah,
accurate? That's what
yeah.
Abby does. Okay. Um, so you can't say that you create them. You said, right? I'm in the you said my business is animated videos for startups. You're in the business of selling them. You're in the business of helping the startups. You're in the business of bringing them investors. You're not in the business of animated videos. You're in the business of helping these companies land their investors. And you do that by partnering them with someone who creates the animated videos, right? So you show your honest self by saying, here's why I do this. I don't know anything about making videos, but I know who does, and I've got the right people on my team. Well, my only job is to help you acquire these investors. This is how we're going to do it. I've seen it work. I don't need to know how to make the video. I know it works, right? That's how you show up honest in that space, is by being honest about what you do and what you don't do. I help you acquire these investors. This is how.
Awesome. Good stuff. Thank you, Heather, for your coaching.
Sure.
It's
It's hard to turn it off.
it's partly podcasting, it's partly coaching. I think, yeah, tons of value. And if people really want to know even more about your brave methods, they just need to buy the book, right?
Buy the book. You can find it on Amazon or Bookshop. You can get an ebook. In December, I'll have the paper book out. The hardback is out. But also, I invite you all to come and hang out in the Brave on Purpose Collective. That's my group where it's just a bunch of awesome people who are leveraging their fears into intentional bravery and just want to be surrounded by other folks who do that. And I know you're working together here. And so, but if there's anything I can ever do or support, or you have questions, come hang out, listen to the Brave Files. Yeah, let's be friends.
I mean, the world is abundant. For me, there are no
I
competitors.
agree.
In the end, you work with who you want to work with, and
And
everybody
we
has its own value to share. So,
absolutely. And we shift. We need different coaches at different times for different
yeah,
reasons. Yeah,
exactly. So, Heather, I'm just going to show you the site where they can go to vickeryandco.com.
that's me.
That is where they can go to as well to know more about you, about the book, about everything. You have a podcast as well. So, check it out, everybody. Heather, I really want to thank you so, so, so much for your time, your knowledge, your passion. And I hope to talk to you soon again, and let's
Yeah,
stay connected.
absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity. I enjoyed chatting with you. Great engagement, great questions, folks. It was a lot of fun. Thank you so much for having
Thank
me.
you. See you. Bye bye, everybody. See you next time.
Bye.